well, clearly Bitcoin did not take its time. And of course, that's exactly what we expected, because this is a very predictable price range that Bitcoin was just traveling between, starting from about 53, stretching up to 52, stretching up to about 58. And that is more or less where we topped out today. If we look at the OHLC on the top left, we did top out at 57.4. So right in that range of 56 to 58 that I was describing for you all. And I strongly believe that this is the most dangerous point I have seen in this market, definitely for the last entire year, probably more than that. I think that this is where a lot of people are about to get screwed quite heavily, and there's a lot that I want to cover with you in this YouTube video, some really important charts as well. And I want to discuss a couple of possibilities, right? Because there's definitely, the base possibility that this pump is just going to continue. And I mean, we can, it's just been pump, consolidation, pump, consolidation, pump, consolidation, pump. That's 102% range. And this stretches back to just like October of last year, which was like 4 months ago, right? Like that was, it was literally like 4 or 5 months ago, depending on if you count this month. So, we've more than doubled in price in an incredibly short period of time here. And, this is just not sustainable. I mean, it is just not. I mean, I cannot believe that, like, we're running so fucking fast into such an obvious trap right now, and people can't tell. Like, I mean, well, I can believe it because these are the people I make money off, but these are the same people I went long off. I made my long trade off the same dumb people at the when we were in a more at a lower price level, and I am fairly certain it's about to happen again. I have got a sixth sense for this kind of thing. My Bitcoin position now, phenomenal. You guys have been saying that, some very few of you, but some have been saying that I've kind of been calling for downside for a while, but my P&L says different, bro. So that'll settle you all. And of course, I did trade this on Bybit, where you're going to get a free $500 position on Bybit if you follow my link in the description down below. So definitely check that out if you want to be able to trade Bitcoin for free with a $500 trade. Any profits you generate are yours to keep. Definitely check that out. BingX is a brilliant no KYC alternative as well, with access to traditional finance, which is super cool. But so much very, very crazy stuff going on right now. At this stage, I'm very certain that the primary kind of big trades I want to take now are shorts, which is uncomfortable because I'd basically be playing a reversal, which is not an easy type of trade to play, which might mean that I'm okay to just kind of sit this out, to be honest, because I don't have to play the first trade that's going to present itself. I can definitely go for the second opportunity that comes up. It's honestly typically safer to do that. But, we've seen something really interesting, because Bitcoin managed to see a nice climb up for its dominance, but altcoins haven't really carried on with that, right? Like, as a result of, this is why Bitcoin's dominance has seen a nice uptick here. Like Matic, for example, managed to get up to $1.09 back in December of last year, and today it's not even gotten that high. So, a lot of our altcoins have slowed down a little bit here. Ethereum losing a little bit against Bitcoin and so on. We're going to talk about all of that in just a second, but let's talk about the possibility of Bitcoin continuing to go up. And this is kind of scenario number one, that Bitcoin just continues to pump. I will definitely go into detail for why I don't think this is going to continue to happen, but actually I can just tease it, because one of the big things to take note of now is that this is literally Bitcoin's last resist. It's so weird to say this. We're in February of 2024. I mean, I think this came way sooner than everybody expected. But we are literally at Bitcoin's final resistance before the obvious psychological resistance of the all-time high. But like in terms of like normal NPC resistance that we get on the chart, like this is it. This is the last one, and we're there. And so if we continue on up, like this is basically what it could end up looking like, just like pump through the sky, come back for a retest, and then, it's off to $100,000 or wherever else you want to say. And, maybe this is just one of those absolutely crazy times where it happens. And if it does, then fuck it. I'm positioned quite well. I've got 2 long positions that I've had from very, very low price levels that are still making me money. That Bitcoin trades up at 1,600% profit now, which is absolutely phenomenal. My Tron trade is sitting pretty at 832% profit, which I'm super, super happy about right there as well. So I'm definitely well positioned for more upside. I don't know if I'd still be looking for longs unless they're kind of very short-term plays in the altcoin market, perhaps, or something like that. If Bitcoin starts to drop, we're going to start to see really nice opportunities opening up there. And again, like I said, I'm going to talk to you about all of them as we go on with this video. But of course, definitely take advantage of all the free capital these exchanges are giving you, because you can throw them into the trades that you're interested in, and it's free money. So any profits you generate are yours to keep, which is super, super cool indeed. Now, let me go through a couple of charts with you, because I want to talk to you about where we might go. And one of the first big ones that I do want to discuss with you is this idea of Bitcoin dropping down to its support level at about 52K. This was Bitcoin's previous consolidation range, and it stretches between the 14th of February basically up until a couple of days ago. And this produced a really nice clear ceiling for Bitcoin at about $52,400. That's basically the point that we broke out from right here. That is literally right here. And the reason that this would be interesting is because it's literally Bitcoin's only support level. And it's not only is it Bitcoin's only support level if it drops down in the short term, but also on this very long-term chart. Sneezing is the worst thing you could do as a video creator, and I feel like I might sneeze. Because if we look at this, right here from like 58K down to 52, the sneeze is gone. There is no support, right? So, and you can see that very clearly because of what I described to you yesterday with the, if you were subscribed, you're going to know this quite well, that there's, just nice big moves up, big moves down, and we just come all the way up and down, sometimes even within one day, like this wick right here. Otherwise, usually just still very, very quickly here. Look at this, like all the way up, all the way down, all the way up, all the way down, right? So there's no support in this range, and that makes it a very obvious drop if we do end up getting it right here on the present day in this market. So, if we do end up losing this level, I think this is going to be the most obvious kind of bounce zone for Bitcoin. Whether it happens at 52.4 or, 51 or 50, I don't really know, but it's probably going to be somewhere around this range at a minimum, at least for something small, right? Like maybe a 5%, and then we, maybe something a little bit like this, and then whether we go up from there or down, I don't really know, but I think at a minimum this is what we can expect from Bitcoin at the moment, again, unless it just goes absolutely fucking crazy and just pumps higher than this, and I just don't know what to say. I'm just glad that I'm all in on Bitcoin, because I can't really do a whole lot more to be better positioned for this. But I mean, that's just obviously not, nothing's obvious in that way, but like it just can't. I mean, I'd be very, very, very surprised. Bitcoin's fear and greed index now reading at 79. I mean, this is very, very high. We were at 72 yesterday, and by the way, some of the pump didn't even happen when this number came in, so we might see a slightly higher number here in about 5 hours from the time of me recording this video. And if we take a look at this over the past year to see the last time we were sitting at a 79 extreme greed rating, the last time we had this was just about 20 days ago, but before that, it didn't happen in the last year. It didn't happen in the entire year before that. The last time we saw fear and greed ratings higher than today was back in November 2021. Okay, that is like basically 2.5 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, or like a year and a half ago. I don't really know. I'm not good. It's 2.5 years ago, or 3. What was it? I've got the notes here. It was a really long time ago, November 2021, and we're in 2024 now. So, I mean, it's just absolutely insane. What was it? 2.5 years ago, that we haven't seen these kind of numbers for the fear and greed index or anything higher than this. And I think that really does tell us about where we are a little bit. I mean, this is just so typical of where reversals end up happening. The fact that it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not going to happen. I think some of the bulls have been getting very cocky lately, that their bags have continued to pump. But of course, their reality is going to get shattered because they live in a pit of misery, and Bitcoin temporarily brings them up and then makes them poorer again. That's just how it goes: buy high and sell low, ladies and gents. That's how these guys like to do it. And I think that time for them is coming again, because right now, at the moment, basically everybody that's ever bought Bitcoin is in a profit, and that's a lot of sunshine to be seeing in the space right now. So to me, I mean, look, in terms of, spot trades, this is like the most fucking obvious sell ever. In fact, way back over here, I sold a significant proportion of Bitcoin to buy my house out in Dubai, like buy it cash, because I couldn't get a mortgage. I was like 19 years old back here. And that was obviously a phenomenal decision. One of my very close friends asked me, well, this is where you sold your house last time. What do you think about it now? I was like, yeah, still, I still think it's a good sell. Like, fuck, what can I say? We're like, what is this now? Like 260%, 3.6 times above from our low right now. We've had like basically no significant pullbacks beyond 20%. No, we've literally had no significant pullbacks beyond 20%. Each of our pullbacks have been relatively shallow compared to what Bitcoin does do within uptrends. Here's a 32%, for example, just within this uptrend. Here's, like a 60%, right? During this market cycle. I mean, we do tend to print nice significant corrections, at least at some point, and we just haven't gotten it yet. So of course, I mean, for me, this is a very obvious selling point, and I'd love to see some lower price levels to scoop up some more Bitcoin. Now, if we go higher, I mean, I can't say anything about that because we could still go even crazier, but to me, that doesn't reduce the chance of a deviation and then coming back down. If anything higher than this, anything higher than $40,000 really, just means that whenever the inevitable reaction happens, it's going to be even more extreme. That is truly what I think about this. If I'm being completely honest with no filter with you guys, which of course there's nothing but complete honesty and no filter on this YouTube channel. And if you do appreciate that, do me a favor and smash up those likes, ladies and gents. It does really help out. I thought of doing a live stream today. I'm going to start doing them a little bit more for you guys later on, but I didn't quite have the time today. But this Fibonacci retracement also lines up with what I'm describing for you guys, with a beautiful 786 retracement at the 52.2 level. Interestingly, absolutely no other support anywhere else to be found on this chart, with the Fibonacci retracement specifically, even at our 618 retracement, which is definitely out of character, I would say, for Bitcoin. But I think it does also tell us quite a bit about Bitcoin's current state of affairs. So very, very interesting indeed. Now, if we take another look at a potential situation Bitcoin could be facing, the potential correction, I think one of the big ones is the Bitcoin halving cycle, right? I mean, we usually do see nice big crashes right before our halving, and we haven't quite managed to produce that yet. This is an idea that we've been discussing on this YouTube channel a lot before, and we haven't quite gotten there. Another one which is really interesting, and I think not many people are talking about this, is that typically from each all-time high until we break the all-time high, it is typically about 1,200, 1,100 days. Whereas right now, from our current all-time high to today, it's been about 800 days, right? And this one's really interesting because, first of all, it seems a little bit like bro science and like bro analysis, but with what I'm about to say, you're actually going to be like, yeah, actually, that makes complete sense, Sammy. Typically, Bitcoin does take its time to break the all-time high, right? From this point until we broke the all-time high, it was 1,200 days. From 20K until we broke 20K, it was 1,100 days. And like I said, so far it's been 800. There's 300 days left to kind of fit that general time frame. And what I think is really interesting is that we're actually expecting Bitcoin to mature, right? And we've got every reason to expect that. Now, the bulls, the little jimmies with their $600 stimmies, for Crypto Kirby, I fucking miss you, bro. I know you're watching this. Well, I don't know if you're watching this, but I hope you're watching this. Come back, bro. We all miss you. We all want you back. There is much to be said about those, those moon boys that are looking for the ETF to be their narrative for things to go up. But of course, we've already covered that. Look, this can happen temporarily, and this is obviously just hype. But people that are buying instruments like ETFs are not going to make you rich. I just don't see it happening. I mean, fuck it. Maybe I'm wrong on this, and then the world really is changing, and all of a sudden the world's elites are going to make the absolute shit munchers in the crypto space rich because they're going to start doing charity, or maybe you are actually smarter than them. Maybe that's it, but I think if we kind of come back to earth a little bit and we start being a little bit more realistic about this, that's obviously not the case, and it's going to be exactly like what happened back here when institutions first ever in an official capacity got into Bitcoin with futures, and everybody thought that it was going up, including me, because I was one of those dumb moon boys back then on this, kind of bit of price range back in late 2017. And of course, what actually ended up happening was that they came into the market, crashed it, bought it down here when everybody was selling, when people like you and I were selling, and then they rode it much higher. That is how these people play it. And if you think it's going to be different now just because we're seeing a little pump right after the ETF, then then I've got a Gmail closing down email to sell you. So shout out to those of you that know what I'm talking about. So, I think if we look at it from this perspective, we would expect Bitcoin's kind of time frames to elongate, to get a little bit longer, right? To get a little bit slower. And if that's the case, then we are not ready to break this all-time high. And what's more likely to happen is, now that everybody knows that this is obviously completely unsustainable, I think one thing we've got to keep in mind is that when you reach a stage like this in the market, an attractive asset will start looking unattractive really quickly. And I've covered this with you many, many times if you've been subscribed, but one of the things that's really important to note about Bitcoin or any shitcoin or literally any fucking asset ever is if it's in a hype cycle, people are only interested in it because it's making them money. As soon as it stops making people money, as soon as it stops being an attractive investment that's going up every single day, it's going to start to look unattractive. And it's going to be very easy to sell it because you've got people who don't care about the actual asset. They just want to buy it to make money and sell it to the next idiot that's a little bit more stupid than them. So they sell it at a profit, right? And as soon as that prospect goes, you start getting fear that sets in. And we've understandably got the perfect situation now where basically everybody understands that Bitcoin is overstretched and needs a correction. And if that correction initiates, it's probably going to be quite an aggressive one because there's going to be so much selling pressure that's going to start coming in. I think right now, one of the key things we're seeing is that there's just not that much selling pressure. That's what we saw back in the 2021, second half of 2021, and this massive uptrend here. If we take a look at the volume, it's very clear. Look at this orange line right here. This represents the average volume. Look at how beautifully this volume is curving up back here, right? Let me just draw. We're going to take a different chart. No, we don't need to. Just look at this vertical line, right? Like from here to here. Beautiful uptrend in that volume. I mean, it's increasing while we're trending up. Absolutely phenomenal. And now take a look at these two, right? From right here up to our all-time high, or even up to this high, between these orange, these vertical lines, there's no increase in volume, right? And so really, all we had, what this means, if the volume is not going up while the price is going up, then the only thing this means is that there are no sellers, right? As soon as the sellers start coming back in, which was way back, like basically over here, it doesn't even take that much selling pressure and the market starts dropping, because in reality, it wasn't that there was a massive influx of buyers, it was just that there were no sellers. And as soon as the sellers come back in, things start dropping really hard. So, I think we've got the exact same setup right now. In fact, I think it's worse right now. So I definitely have to expect a pullback. I'm still long only, so I'm very happy to ride this thing higher. But I think the only thing I want to do at this stage really is start taking profits and honestly just congratulate myself for fucking holding on for this long, because it wasn't easy holding on down here, and you guys know that. And kind of look for that pullback, and then get back in when the time is right. And that might mean that let's say I decide to buy Bitcoin when it's down here, and it actually kind of falls all the way down to here. Well, that's completely okay with me, but at least I managed to buy and experience a further 30% gain on my capital that I wouldn't have otherwise had, right? Which is absolutely phenomenal. Maybe I actually end up buying down here instead of it inevitably were to crash down here or even lower, but I still at least get to ride an additional a 60% gain just to get back up to where we are right now, which is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, you can't fade these kind of gains on your capital. Those are huge, especially when they're so easy, right? If you already believe in Bitcoin, then all you need to do is understand that, at least from my perspective here, I feel that this thing is overstretched, and I'm definitely quite happy to sell a little bit and then come back later. Bybit, by the way, doesn't charge you anything if you want to buy these coins on spot. You can just buy and sell them completely free of charge as much as you like, which is actually really, really cool. So, from a time frame perspective, we've got to see this thing cool down a little bit. We've got another 300 days. Does that mean that there's a beautiful 150 days we can budget for a downtrend and then 150 days to break the all-time high? Fuck yeah, absolutely. It 100% means that. From what I'm seeing right here. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. I wouldn't dare make such a long-term prediction on this chart, because I think it's completely fruitless and meaningless. I mean, you've got to predict, the next 290 days of price action or something ridiculous, right? I mean, there's just no way that you could reasonably, I'm sorry, it's right in front of me. The next 308 days of price action is what you've got to predict. And there's just no way you could do that. So, I wouldn't even bother, with such a meaningless exercise. But I mean, bottom line, does it leave us space to crash and then recover, and break our all-time high and be in line with the kind of timeframes we've experienced before? I think 100% yes, it does. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it took longer this time, because that would just make sense given that the market is maturing. Again, I've really got to tackle this ETF narrative, because a lot of people think that this time is different because of the ETF. The beauty of these markets is that there's always factors going around that will make you feel like things are different this time and so on and so forth, and you definitely could be right about them. But typically that's not the case. Typically that's just wishful thinking. And typically when you've got such an obvious setup on the chart like this, but you're kind of hiding behind the skirt of your mother, saying that, and in this case, your mother's skirt is the ETF narrative, saying that the ETF is saving us all. It's just, I can spot scared money when I see it commenting on my fucking YouTube videos, ladies and gents. I've been scared money. I've spoken to scared money a lot. I can sniff that shit out quite well now. I'm like a cowboy cop, that's like seeing somebody that's being a delinquent in the neighborhood. I can sense this shit. I just know when it's in the room with me. And scared money is cooking up all these narratives right now. I can definitely tell you that from my personal experience. So how would that kind of correction look like? Well, we've already covered what that 52K drop could look like. Here's another EMA look on the 1 hour. I mean, this is a potential, very, very short-term look at, maybe some very, very short-term support right here. Not a whole lot we can read into that in particular, but there's definitely this beautiful Fibonacci retracement that I showed you before, and a larger correction, which would be absolutely phenomenal, also puts Bitcoin in line with that typical 20, 21, 22% correction if it drops from here down to about the $44,000 level, because that is a 23% drop, and that would definitely make sense to kind of put it in line with where it's been before. And it also lines up with some really nice VPVR support on this chart as well, which would be absolutely phenomenal. So I think 44K is a real area of interest on this chart. Like I said, this is the first support we have, but I think that we could definitely come much lower. What I actually want to do at this stage, and we don't know if this is the high, right, because we're very close to it, we could definitely break the current high, but I would like to just kind of take a look at where the Fib retracement puts us at, and that is beautiful. Look at that 618 level lining up phenomenally with our 37.4 price area, which I've already had outlined with a nice big green box. There's also the 382 level lining up with 45K, which is where we've seen some wick, some resistance coming in very nicely, very closely with my previous area of support that I just spoke about at 44. So that's definitely interesting. Let's go ahead and move this up here. And we have our 618 retracement at the 45K level. So definitely some confluence there. So, if we do start to see a bit of a drop, then we might know, with some degree of certainty that this was a top, and so I think at a minimum kind of low 50s, and then potentially even significantly lower than that into the low 40s, that would also make a lot of sense for a correction. And then we just gotta, evaluate it from there. I think that if we do start to initiate a correction, especially a correction which comes below 50, and by the way, I just want to point out, this market has not experienced a correction now for an entire month. We don't know what correction feels like for an entire month. So I want to put that on your radar. And in fact, we haven't had a bad correction. For 170 days, for 6 months, okay? This was a bad correction. The reason it was bad was because we had the exact same fucking correction before it, and they both lasted about 2 months, which was absolutely horrible to live through. We haven't had that for 6 months. If you feel like we're in a new paradigm where we're not going to get one, I have a fucking Gmail closing down email to sell you, okay? You are deeply gullible. I wish there was some way I could make some money off you more directly than you being my fucking exit liquidity, because it would bring me great joy to take your money even more directly than that. But I guess I'm just going to have to settle with knowing that you're buying my bags that I'm selling when I'm taking profit, because you were selling to me when I was entering my positions way down here. Ladies and gents, that is pretty much all I've got for you in this YouTube video. I hope you've enjoyed it. You know what to do if you've had the S&P 500's doing its thing, the dollar is doing its thing, Bitcoin is doing its thing. I'll come right back at you guys with another YouTube video tomorrow. You guys know exactly where to find me. Make sure you hit up those likes, subscribe, tick the bell, do all that good stuff. Maybe a live stream tomorrow. We'll see. Let me know if you want to see that live stream. And of course, take advantage of these phenomenal offers available to you all with the links in the description down below, because they may not stay for particularly long, especially this $500 free position on Bybit. That one is just based off how many of you have claimed it. Let me actually see real quick how many have been claimed. I'm just curious. Let's just throw this in here. Open up that link. You might have to click go to site, by the way. It's just kind of warning you that you're going off YouTube. And yeah, we've got 43% remaining. So definitely get in on that if you are interested in making a free trade, free money. It's like your bro gave you some money and said, you know what, keep the profits. I don't even care. That's what Bybit's doing. So super, super cool. All right, guys, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.